Welcome to The Home and the Maker, sharing advice and encouragement about all topics homemaking and homesteading, and honoring the maker in all of it. Join Megan from Shine.fm for today's conversation.
One of the reasons that I love cooking with cast iron is because I feel a little bit like I'm in Little House on the Prairie when I use it, but also because it's something that I don't have to worry about when it comes to cooking with non-toxic cookware. The thing is, when it comes to cast iron, you have to clean it properly. And that's something that I'm no expert in. But I found Tabby, who lives in Salem, Indiana. She's a wife, mom, grandma, and also a follower of Jesus who shares recipes and encouragement from her kitchen on her Facebook account and website called In the Kitchen with Tabby. I saw a post of hers online about cast iron care and loved seeing her heart for Jesus in her posts. And so I'm excited to bring her on. And so thank you so much for joining me, Tabby.
Hey, hiya. It's so good to be here, Megan. And hiya to the Shine FM listeners. How exciting is this?
Yes.
Yeah,
Yes, for sure. So to begin with, I mean, before we start getting into how to care for cast iron properly, like
right.
why would someone decide to cook in it, or like why do you like cooking with cast iron?
So I loved your little intro about the Little House on the Prairie because I used to watch that all the time when I was little.
Yeah.
I'm a vintage soul at heart, and
Okay.
I truly feel like cast iron is one of those things that it's nostalgic, but at the same time, you're just not going to find a pan that's better. It
Mhm.
bakes better, that holds heat better, it goes from the stove to the oven, it browns better. I mean, you just there's so many reasons. There's so many reasons.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's those are just a few probably.
So let's get into the nitty gritty of it.
Yeah,
How do you care for your cast iron? How do you wash it? Because I know that's a big
yeah,
thing in the cast iron world. You don't want it
yes,
to rust,
right.
but like even starting to use it myself, I'm like, I hope I'm doing this right. But tell me how you do it.
Yeah. So, well, first, let me just give the disclaimer because there are a lot of different ways to take care of your cast iron, and there are a lot of
Okay.
very deep, opinions on this. So, this is just how I do it in the kitchen with Tabby. This is just the way
Mhm.
I do it. It's the way I was taught. My mother-in-law used cast iron, and so she's the one that taught me how to take care of it and that kind of thing. So, as far as washing it and things like that, I do use a little soap. There's a lot of different ways you can do it. Back in the day, soap had lye in it, and so the lye would eat into the cast iron, and so you were not supposed to use soap on the cast
Oh,
iron. So a lot of people, it's kind of a misconception now that your Dawn dishwashing liquid and other things, you can use a little soap. So and I have some cast iron pans here to show you here in a minute. But yeah, so when I clean mine, I put just maybe a pea size amount of soap in it. I get my little Scrub Daddy. If you've heard of Scrub Daddy, I get my little
hmm.
Scrub Daddy and I just give it a really good scrub. I make sure my pan is warm when I do it also. It's
Okay.
not steaming hot, but it's usually warm enough that I'll have a little pot holder on my handle. The
Okay.
food comes off easier if the pan's a little warm. And then I
Gotcha.
just give it a really good rinse, under the sink with some hot water, and then give it a really good dry. And then it kind of goes into whether you oil it or not, whether you bake it or
Right.
not, all of the whole seasoning thing. And I know we might get into that a little bit deeper here in a minute, but that's the basics of how I clean it.
Okay, gotcha. So, I mean, you set that up perfectly. When it comes to like what oil to use when you're
Hmm.
reseasoning it, what do
Yeah.
you tend to use?
Yeah, my favorite is avocado oil. Grapeseed
Okay.
oil is another really good one. Both of those have a really high heat point, so a smoke point. So putting them
Hmm.
in the oven and really getting them good and seasoned. But at the same time, it's not so much about the kind of oil that you're using because you could use avocado, you could use canola, you can use whatever oil you want. I just prefer the avocado and the grapeseed. But the most important thing is the amount of oil that you use. Most people, where they go
Okay.
wrong, is not the kind of oil, it's the amount of oil. So you're not wanting to just slather it up until it's just bright and shiny and it feels really greasy. A
Okay.
minimal coat is all you need. And that's where you're going to get your best seasoning too.
Gotcha. So is kind of the tendency then, or maybe the proper way to go about it. So you wash it, dry it.
Mhm.
So at that point, then what I have done, I don't know if this is the right way. It's like I re-oil it, but then are you supposed to bake it? I've seen you do
Right.
something different.
Yeah. So when
So
I
what do
do
you recommend?
mine, yeah. So when I do mine, so if I'm making like I'll show you this pan right here. So can you see how
Yes.
dull that is? There's
Yeah.
no shine to it. So this one is
Uh-huh.
ready to be re-seasoned. So when I re-season
Okay.
this one, I'm going to put a thin layer of oil in it, and then I'm going to put it in the oven at a very high heat, get it really good and hot. And then I
Okay.
always put it in upside down like this. See how shiny the back of
Oh,
it.
yeah.
That's how it should
Okay.
look on the inside, right? So the back of it
Okay.
looks really good. But anyway, so you put it in upside down, let it stay in there for about 30, 45 minutes, good and hot. Turn your oven off and leave it in there and let it cool off completely in the oven, upside down.
Okay.
So that's how I would do it if I'm
Gotcha.
reseasoning. Now, if it looks
Yeah.
like this, can you see how pretty that is?
Yes. Nice and shiny.
This is a cast iron that is way older than I am. It's one of the ones my mother-in-law used all the time, so I'm thankful that I have it because every time I put my hands on it, I feel like she's with me. But
Aw.
this one, when I use this one, this is typically I only use it for like cornbread or biscuits. And then when I'm
Okay.
done, I dump them out and then I just take a paper towel and wipe it out. If it still looks pretty and shiny like that, I'll leave it just like that. I don't need to do anything to it. But if it
Huh.
looks like it's kind of getting a little dull, then I'll give it a little
Okay.
wash. I'll put that little
Yeah.
bit of oil in there, and then I use it on top of my stove. I just let it get good and hot right on the top of my stove. I don't put
Okay.
this in the oven unless I'm
Yeah.
seasoning it like re-seasoning.
Sure. So back to the like when you bake it in the oven, when you're
Mhm.
reseasoning it, why upside down?
So
Just so the oil can drip out or
yes, yeah. And if
okay.
you're using the right amount of oil, it shouldn't drip out.
Yeah.
But you want it to have that escape if it needs to. You don't want it to settle
Okay.
in the bottom of your pan.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Gotcha. So after I've washed it and dried it, I
Hmm.
still, this is a hypothetical situation, but
Sure.
I still see some black flecks coming off
Yeah.
on my towel. Is that normal? Is that bad? Does that mean I need to
Yeah.
clean it again?
No, so most of the time, what that means, it's either one of two things. There might be some carbon that is kind of burned and that's baked in there and it might be flecking off. Sometimes it's
Hmm.
because it's got too much oil or too much seasoning, and so that seasoning is kind of coming off. But if I took a towel right now and wiped it in this one, I should have done that to show you. But if I took a towel and wiped it in here, it's always going to have a little bit of color to it
Okay.
or discoloration.
Gotcha.
That's just because this
Yeah.
is cast iron. So it's always going to be
Yeah.
releasing a little bit, right?
Yeah.
But they're
Yeah.
not going to hurt you. Those flecks aren't going to hurt you or anything.
Yeah.
Yeah, totally normal.
Gotcha. Cool. I'm like, I like, do I need to clean it better?
Yeah, no, you're
Um,
probably cleaning it just fine. Yeah.
okay. So when it comes to like maybe a tougher job and using something a little bit more abrasive to get the
Hmm.
hard chunks off of the cast iron, like is
Hmm.
there a worry that that like could affect the, I mean, you're digging into probably some of the seasoning, like, but that's probably
Yeah,
pretty normal.
it is. It is. And that's where, unless it starts to look like this, you need
Hmm.
to reseason it. If it still looks pretty good after you're done. And I have one of those little scrunchy round, like stainless steel
Oh yeah, yeah.
balls. That's
Hmm.
if it's really, Scrub Daddy does a great job. That's usually all I use. But
Yeah.
if I've fried some potatoes or something like that and it's really stuck on, then I'll get my little stainless steel scrubber and scrub it a little bit with
Okay.
that, and it usually comes right off. Yeah.
Gotcha. Ah, this makes this sound so much more simple than like
It
in my mind
is.
when I first got my cast iron. I'm like, I don't know what to do with this.
Yeah, yeah. I'm telling you, people
That's
are so
awesome.
afraid of it. And that, if I could
Yeah.
just one little tip and I'm sure I'll have more as we go on, but don't be afraid of it. Just don't
Hmm.
hide it away in your cabinet and be afraid to use it. Get that thing
Yeah.
out. I mean, that's
Yeah.
like I said, one of the beautiful things about it is I know that this has been cooked with for decades upon
That's
decades. And
amazing.
it
Yeah.
prayerfully will be cooked with decades after I'm gone because it's going to go on
Yeah.
to one of my kids. So that's the beautiful thing about cast iron. Yeah.
That's awesome. What are your favorite things to like bake or make in your cast
I love
iron?
this question. So I have a couple of, so like this style, see how shallow that is?
Yeah. Yeah.
I love to use this for biscuits and to like set a piece of bread on. Like, so
Mhm.
just today I was warming up some brownies and I don't have a
Oh, okay.
microwave. By choice, I choose not to have a microwave. But
Yeah.
if you take a paper towel and dampen it and set it on here and then put your brownie on here and cover it up with a lid and put that on your stove just on low, it will taste like it just came out of the oven. That's one of
That's
the
awesome.
beautiful things. So I love using this style for like brownies and, or, no, I'm sorry, not brownies, but
Sure.
for biscuits and things like that.
Yeah.
If I'm doing cornbread or focaccia bread or something like that, then I use more of the deep style like this.
Okay.
But I
Yeah.
love baking and cooking just about anything from fried potatoes to um, focaccia bread to
Yeah.
biscuits and gravy, the biscuit gravy. There's so many different things you can cook in cast iron. Yeah.
That's awesome. Now, I know there's certain things you're not supposed to cook in cast
Hmm.
iron. One of those things being you're supposed to be very watchful of tomatoes, right?
Yes. Yes. So I never
Okay.
cook any kind of stewed tomato or
Okay.
chili or any kind of acid, acidic type sauces and things like that. I don't ever put that in there.
Hmm.
But that's really about the only thing I avoid. I cook just about
Gotcha.
anything else in my cast iron. Yeah.
Okay. So no chili.
Yeah. No chili, no tomato sauce, no
Yeah.
tomato soup, things like that.
Right. Gotcha. Um, Let me see here. Have you ever baked like a loaf of bread in a big like cast iron?
Yes, one of my
Okay.
favorite ways to cook my focaccia bread is in my cast iron. I love
That's
it.
awesome.
And a lot of people are concerned sometimes about it getting too brown or the
Yes.
the black flecks maybe, that come off. First of all, those are not going to hurt you. But if it does
Hmm.
bother you, or if you're concerned about it, you can sprinkle a little bit of cornmeal in the bottom of it.
Okay.
You can also put your cast iron in the oven and then maybe put a pan under it, like a baking sheet under it. That will kind of help with
Mhm.
that too. But yeah, I love cooking the focaccia bread and the biscuits
Yeah.
and things like that in there.
So do you need extra steam in there or just like having
No,
that extra pan in there draws some of the heat? Okay.
yeah, I think it just blocks some of that heat from the bottom of the pan. Now, I'll be
Gotcha.
honest with you
Okay.
though, I've never done that. I've never had to do that. I've never had an issue.
Okay. Gotcha.
I've never even used the cornmeal, option. I don't feel like I've ever needed it.
Yeah.
It always
Okay.
pops right out of there and looks really pretty. So,
Yeah.
yeah.
That's awesome.
I have a great focaccia bread recipe on my website. So if anybody wants to
Okay.
make focaccia in their cast iron, yeah, super easy recipe and
Okay.
it's a hands down delicious recipe. Yeah.
That's awesome. I'll have to try that. I've never done focaccia, but I've worked
Hmm.
with sourdough. Um, if you're buying a new piece of cast iron and it says it's pre-seasoned,
Hmm.
is that something that when you take it out of the box, because in my mind, I'm like, it says it's pre-seasoned, so do I have to wash this? Like, what do you
Right.
recommend for someone like buying it fresh?
Sure. So if you're buying it fresh, brand new out of the, package, it's ready to go. It is seasoned and ready to
Okay.
go. Personally, I would give it a little wash, just a little
Hmm.
soap and water, just because of the whole manufacturing process and
Yeah.
shipping and people touching it and things like that. But it
Yeah.
is absolutely ready to go. Yeah.
Now, if someone thrifts some cast iron or
Hmm.
it's handed down, maybe it's stuck in a closet or in the garage for years, like
Yeah.
would you recommend a little extra TLC to that? Or like especially if you're thrifting it because you don't know where that's been, or like what kind of
Sure.
care would you use to get that ready for cooking?
Yeah. Most of the time, if I'm thrifting a pan, the thing I'm looking for the most would be like gouges or divots, things like that, marks that it's not a smooth surface. If it's not nice and smooth, then I'll usually pass on it. If it's a pretty
Okay.
smooth surface and it looks pretty good, even if it looks, not shiny, then
Yeah.
I'll go ahead and grab it and then just reseason it when I get it home and it'll be ready to go.
Cool.
The only
So
thing
what
that'll keep
about
me
the
from buying it would be the divots and marks in it like that.
does that like the divots and the marks and stuff, is that would that be something that would probably be, I guess I don't know what the right phrase would be, but would that make using the cast iron not healthy or just like it would be harder to clean in that sense?
A
Or
little bit of the all of the above. Yeah. And so
okay.
you're going to have things are probably going to stick a little more. You're not going to be able to get
Yeah.
that nice smooth surface like you can on one that doesn't have those. It's going to release
Hmm.
a little more of the iron, which in and
Sure.
of itself is not a horrible thing, but
Yeah,
everything in moderation.
for sure. That's awesome. Okay, cool. Um, I love your content on your page and how, like, even just the video I watched where you talked about cast iron, you ended it pointing people to Jesus. So, what inspired you to start doing this with your website and your Facebook page where you talk about these things like every day from the kitchen, but yet you still use this platform to
Yeah.
share with others about Jesus? Like, what started that for you?
So to make a long story short, I lost two sisters in 2 years,
Mm,
and my oldest sister, and then there's 8 children in my family, but two of my sisters passed within 2 years of each other, and it was not expected. It was not like something that we knew was going to happen. They were both very sudden illnesses and
mm,
passings, And it just really got my heart thinking that I was not doing what I needed to do or everything I could do, maybe, to further the kingdom and to share Christ
Yeah.
with others. I'm a stay-at-home mom. I've been very blessed over the years that my husband has had he's a business owner, entrepreneur, and so he's taken very good care of our family. I've raised two great boys, one of the hardest jobs in the world, being a mom. But they're both grown now and gone, and I just thought, I have more to give. I just have more to give. And so I just really felt in my spirit that I needed to do something like this. And so I don't know if you have ever heard of Brenda Gant. She's down in Southern
Mhm.
Alabama. She's kind of the matriarch of this whole thing. She started her page back in April during COVID in 2020. I've been following her ever since she started her page. And I can remember thinking all during COVID, man, I think I could do that. I really think I could do that. And, in the back of my mind, I just kept thinking, well, I'm probably not smart enough. I'm probably not pretty enough. I'm not fancy enough. My kitchen isn't fancy enough. All the things, all the reasons the
Sure.
enemy would want to keep me from doing it.
Yeah.
And I finally, in the beginning of 2024, I thought, I actually heard, I shouldn't say I think, I heard in my spirit, it's time. And at first I was like, I don't know what it's time for, Lord. Like, I don't know what that means. And then I
Yeah.
kept hearing that in my spirit. And I thought, I think it's time for me to do this Facebook thing. And I told my husband, and he said, go for it. I think you'd be great. And then I talked to one of my sisters, and she said, oh, Tabby, I think you'd be great. I think everybody would love you. And I said, I don't know about that, and I thought, I'm going to do this. And even if all it does is create a platform for my kids and my grandkids to see someday, recipes from the family, and just to
Yeah.
have the closeness with me, the interaction with me, then
Sure.
I'm going to do that. And I'll never forget when I reached 100 followers and I sat at my dining room table and I was crying and my husband came in and said, "What's wrong?" And I said, "I have 100 people following me." And so, now I'm like a little on Facebook. I think I have a little over 38,000, and it's not a huge
Wow.
number, but they're people that I believe I am impacting their life every day. And I pray
Yeah.
that God will continue to grow and expand it and bring more friends into my life. Some of the sweetest people I've ever met have come through this journey of having this platform. And it's just such a blessing. It really, truly is.
Yeah.
And it's also a way for me to honor my sisters. I talk about my sisters a lot. All of my videos, when you see my videos, I always start all of my videos with Haya friends because Haya was my oldest sister's nickname. She was
Oh.
just a precious soul and lit up every room she came into, and so I do that in her honor. And then
Mhm.
I always end my videos telling people that Christ is the unseen guest at every dinner table, and He's the silent listener at every conversation. So we have got to keep
Yeah.
our words pure and sweet and love on each other and shine our light because which
Yeah.
I love Shine FM, because I just truly feel like the enemy has had this long enough. Like I believe
Mhm.
it's time for people to just really stand up and shine. So
Yeah. Wow. Well, thank you for sharing that. I'm so sorry
yeah,
about your sisters and just
thank you.
love your heart. That's so cool. I also love the even just like how you thought, even if this is just for family,
Hmm.
being able to have grandma's recipes and mom's
Yes.
recipes, like that's so cool.
Well,
Does
and
your
I'll tell you a
family
funny story. A funny story. My mother-in-law was a very private cook and baker.
okay.
And so a lot of her recipes, she didn't really show me how to make them. And
Oh
so I
no.
got a lot of her recipes after she passed. And
Okay.
one of her most successful, popular, most requested recipes was her oatmeal cake. And I never knew how to make it. It was just always done when we got here. Like her cake
Yeah.
was always ready. And so when I made it for the first time, I did not think it was going well at all. Like it did not look like cake to me. The batter was very dry. It did not look good. And so I'm a visual learner and I had never seen her do it. And so I called my husband into the
Yeah.
kitchen and I said, "Dale, what in the world does this look right?" And he said, "I don't know. What does the recipe said?" I said, "I'm following it." And he said, "Well, then just keep going. I'm sure it'll be fine."
Yeah.
And it turned out great. And so that was
Huh.
also one of the reasons where I thought, you know what? People need to know how to make an oatmeal cake and they need to be able to see that that's what it looks like and it's
Right.
normal, so they don't
Yeah.
panic.
For sure, for sure. Does your family live close or like is this kind of a like for those who live further away, you can kind of still connect with them through this platform?
Yes, both. Both of my boys, I have two sons. One lives about 45 minutes south and the other lives 45 minutes north. So we're pretty much right
Okay.
in the middle of both of them.
Yeah.
We see them both often, but it is a way. It's funny because they will watch my videos and things, and then I'll get a text and say, "Hey, I didn't know you did that," or "I didn't," so
Uh,
it's kind of funny.
that's
Yeah.
cool. Yeah, that's awesome. I love that. So I have one last question for you, kind of a way I like to end all of my podcasts. Like, what is something just specific to our conversation? What is something like one of the greatest things that Jesus has taught you while you've just been in the kitchen?
Gosh, I love that question. That is a great question. I think what he's taught me most is that kind of like a cake, I'm just going to go back to that. I'm always talking about recipes. So kind of like a cake has all of its ingredients. You've got flour and you've got sugar and you've got the egg and the vanilla and the baking powder. And any one of those on their own is not real exciting, right? But when you put them all together, it creates something beautiful. And I feel like that's kind of the way this is. But on my own, I can't do anything. But with Christ's help and guidance, I can do all things. So I might just be the baking powder in the recipe, but he can bring everything else in and make it all work. And I think that's, he showed me that, you are enough.
Yeah.
If you're just the baking powder, you're enough. It's going to be okay. So that's probably the biggest thing he's taught me. Yeah.
That's cool. Well, even like what you were talking about before when you were, kind of doubting yourself and the call to start this platform when you're like, am I enough in this area or enough in this area? I'm not smart enough. And he was like, nope, here you go. It's time.
Yeah.
That's so cool.
Yeah.
He's the one who
I would
enough,
say,
so that's awesome.
Absolutely. And I would say if there's anybody considering it, or thinking about, oh, maybe I want to do something, maybe it may not even be a Facebook platform, whatever it is you feel called to do. I would just encourage you that you are enough. You are enough exactly as you are. And, God doesn't call for perfection or experience or wisdom or any of those things. Right. He just wants your heart and he wants your desire to be to help him further the kingdom. And he'll bring the rest of it in for you. So.
Amen. So good. Well, thank you so much, Tabby, for sharing your heart, sharing your wisdom and expertise in the kitchen. Yeah. Hopefully educating the future cast iron users after watching this podcast.
I hope it helps. And again, I just want to encourage people, like I said, don't hide it in your cabinet. Get it out, use it. Don't be afraid of it. And if I've shared anything that's different from the way you do it, then you do you. If it works for you, that's great. Yeah. If you'd rather use salt instead of the Dawn dishwashing liquid, that's okay too.
Yeah. Well, thank you so much. If you're watching this and you want to check out Tabby's content, you can visit her Facebook. You can also check out her website. You can just search for In the Kitchen with Tabby. And that's Tabby with an I. Thank you so much.
I always tell people it's like a tabby cat. It's easy to remember.
Yes. Well, thank you so much.
Thank you for listening to this episode of the Home and the Maker podcast. And for other podcasts from Shine.fm, visit the Shine.fm podcast channel.